just gonna fucking send it.
Just fucking send it.
'Cause why not?
Consider yourself sent.
I don't want to send myself. I did that fucking in September.
Sorry about that, bud. That was a little offensive.
A little too soon.
Yeah. What's up, dude?
What's happening?
Yeah, it's been a good week.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
I asked you this last week too. I was like, how's your week? You know, just like the only thing you touch base to. Fucking, how's your week, dude? I don't know.
Your dog's in the sink again.
Great. We're gonna move forward. We're back, folks. Welcome back to Me vs. Me. Thank you for listening, as always.
Thanks for being here.
Yes, you're important.
Thanks for having us, by the way.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I wanted to talk a little bit about today about people's people's like inner fire, your inner light, your inner good, and just kind of touch base on that a little bit, because I think it's important to be noted. There's a lot of occasions where you're going to meet people that you may have known for a long time, or people that you may have just met standing in the line at the grocery store. It doesn't matter. And a lot of people, I feel like you can kind of read into just enough to know that they have somewhat of a fire, somewhat of a really outstandingly good personality. And whether or not they promote it is a different story. But there's a lot of people I've come in contact with in my life personally that I know have a really bright light inside of them.
Yeah, and I agree. I happen to be a firm believer that you happen to be one of those people for me, at least.
Well, thank you.
You're an asshole most of the time, but I love you anyway.
Sorry about that.
But no, man, I'm a huge believer of, being able to see, no matter what that person's going through, that they've got that inner light inside of them.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard topic. I think we're really getting into something that's a lot deeper than a lot of people want to get into. I say that because I think it's a level that a lot of people don't accept. It's a level of quote unquote vulnerability that would be considered a weakness, which I will separate the two right here and right now. They are not the same thing. You being vulnerable and you being weak are two completely different things to me.
And they should always be two completely different things.
Yes. The perception there is important. And I believe that the level of vulnerability and willingness to show your fire and your light to somebody is hugely important for connectional purposes.
I'll even go a step farther than that. Not just for a connection purpose, but just for everyday life. I mean, people go through these hard times, and people go through these struggles and everything, and it's important to note that no matter what struggles you're going through, no matter what you have going on in your personal life, there's always that light inside. There's always that piece of good. And I think that's in almost everybody. I mean, there's always exceptions to that rule, but I think 99% of the people that we come in contact with are just generally good people that have just gone through some fucked up shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're driven by the fear of being hurt, because that hurt derives from people that take advantage of what they perceive as weakness, which is a flaw. That's where I draw the line.
Yeah, I agree. People, a lot of times, that 1% of people take the vulnerability from everybody else and they turn it into weakness, and that's where that line gets crossed.
Your willingness to connect is perceived as a weakness or as a bad thing, and people take advantage of that
all the time.
And I think that gets overlooked more often than it should, which is super unfortunate, because that really drives most of the people that you're going to run into on a day-to-day basis into just a very robotic, guarded state.
But they don't let that light show. They don't let that good.
Nobody lets that light show, because you don't want to be weak. You just want to be You want to be perceived as this good-looking, strong person to the rest of society.
Well, again, I think it even goes deeper than that. It's not even about, don't want to be perceived as weak. You don't want to be taken advantage of.
100%.
You don't want to have somebody come into your life and go, oh, this is a really good person.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get every ounce of good I can get out of them for my own personal gain.
Right.
And I'm going to run with it. And once they draw that line and they're no longer willing to share that with me,
Mm-hmm.
they're done. And I think that's a really shitty thing that everybody has to deal with on a daily basis right now.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's intentionally or not, you know what I mean? It's a lot of people do it unintentionally because they're dealing with their own battles and they can't find that light inside of themselves anymore because they have shut it down so far and they have put those walls up so high that they can't even see it anymore. So they gravitate to it. They gravitate to that light inside of somebody else
Mm-hmm.
so that they can feel good about themselves.
That's right.
And the lack of vulnerability with those people is, in my personal belief, and from my personal experience from doing it, will A, drive every good person out of your life, and B, will cause you way more hurt in the long run than sitting down and being, you know what, I need to be vulnerable again.
To kind of take a step back there, you said it's going to drive the good people out of your life. I would second that with a 50-50 of not only does it drive the good people out of your life without necessarily driving it, voluntarily, like what's the word for it? It's you're not necessarily directly pushing. There you go. You're not necessarily directly pushing those people out, but I would say more so what you're doing is welcoming the negative.
Yes.
Which is harder to see.
Way harder to see.
Way harder to see because welcoming the negative is proposed as now you're popular.
Right.
Now you have people around you. Now you have all these people that are going to be around you all the time, and you're the center, and that gets perceived as a good thing.
Yeah, you become the star of the show.
Right.
And
for only a moment.
Right. And I was about to say that only lasts a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're left floundering, kind of.
And in those actions, the good ones see what's happening, and with a small chance that you might come back, once that's faded, they just fade out.
Yeah, they're gone. And it's unfortunate, having dealt with it myself, having dealt with it, pretty much I won't say pretty much, but I've dealt with it over the last couple of years, man. As you know, our friendship's been for a long time, but it's always kind of been, I wouldn't say off and on, because I always knew that if I needed something, I could call you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I wouldn't venture to say vice versa, but I would hope so.
Yeah. Off and on's not the right word, but I get what you're saying.
Right.
More in focus, out of focus, in focus. Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel
exactly.
you. Yeah.
And I think that has to go a long way with the kind of people that we choose to surround ourselves with.
100%.
What a lot of people don't realize and don't recognize until it's too late. Maybe too late's not the right word, but it's, or the right term, but they don't recognize that, maybe what I'm doing and trying to be the star of the show and have all that, the popularity that, you walk into a room and everybody knows who you are, that's not necessarily a good thing.
Right.
I've done a lot of soul searching over the last year or so, and really in the last couple of months since my accident, I'm going to keep coming back to that, but that's
it was a life-changing event.
For sure was. It definitely it changed my perspective on almost everything in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But being the star of the show, that it drives a wedge between you and the people that, unintentionally, of course, you and the people that, are truly there for you. The people who are like, hey man, just take a step back and just be you for a minute. And because you're not you when you're trying to be the star of the show, truly you. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, the clouded is real.
Yeah.
You know, you're extremely just glazed over at the moment.
Yep.
You're not looking true.
No. And it took me a long time to kind of figure that out, and it was a painful process realizing that those people that I thought were my friends and I thought were actually there for me were only there for the show. They were only there for what I could bring them in the moment. And that's not a true connection. That's not a true relationship or friendship or anything like that. That's what can you do for me right now? That's that negativity we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, boom, as soon as you decide that, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I kind of want to be, I really want to be genuine about who I am and who I'm with, and both with friends and more than that into relationships, it turns into something completely different. And it's hard to turn that off.
I really hope that my listeners can just take a second and let what he just said kind of marinate, because I think it's important. A lot of people are going through that. If you're in the moment, then I understand if it's not completely clear. But if you're experiencing what he's describing, then please just take a moment and just kind of try to visualize who's there for you and who's with you, like actually with you, because the people that just want things from you, they're there, but they're not there.
They're not truly there.
They're not truly there. And I bet my life on it. Challenge them with something that you truly need. And I bet you'll change their status immediately.
We talked about it in the kitchen before we sat down.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking. I'm not going to deny that it's going to hurt. It's going to suck. It's going to break your heart, but it is for the better. You don't need that shit. Nobody needs that shit. And I encourage anybody that has somebody who would challenge their status in your life as being, a true or real person. If you know this already, like I know this fucker for long enough to know that I don't have to challenge this dickhead, and I can challenge him if I want to. But if there's somebody that you think
could be doing better,
then challenge it. Why not? A true person in your life is going to do nothing but want the best for you, and that goes vice versa. Sorry. Wanted to get that out.
No, don't apologize for that, man, because you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, it's you. I'm going to speak for Austin. I know me and him haven't had a real conversation in a year or so, but
shout out to Austin.
Yeah, shout out to our boy Matthews. Yeah,
our brother.
I think it comes down to the fact that at one point or another between the three of us, we've all challenged each other.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you, but it's never resulted in turmoil.
No, and leading me to my exact next point is if that's a true friendship, a true connection, a true relationship, that challenge is not going to be perceived negatively.
No, absolutely.
That challenge will be looked at and go, it'll kind of put the person on their heels and go, oh shit.
Mm-hmm. It's time.
It's time to look at what I'm doing and and not necessarily what I'm doing, but how I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if I can go about it a different way and, listen to the people that I have around me at the time and go, you know what? They're right. Maybe not 100% correct. You know what I mean? Nobody ever knows exactly what's going on inside your head.
Mm-hmm.
But they're right. I need to be kind of doing this a little bit different. And then having the ability to then lean on the person who challenged you and go, okay, I understand that I was fucking up. I was doing some shit that I shouldn't have been doing. And being able to go, okay,
what do you think I could be doing better? Right,
exactly. And being able to have that vulnerability with the people who are you're close with to sit down and truly look at.
It's huge.
Yeah, truly being able to look at yourself. And I say this all the time. I say this to people all the time is take a look in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
figuratively and literally.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like what you see? You know, do you truly look in the mirror, and then look at your life kind of behind you in the background, and do you like where you are?
I would like to take this opportunity, if I may, just to address something that kind of came up recently, and I'm not upset about it at all. I'm impressed. One of my listeners had, there's been a lot of positive that's come from this, a lot of positive feedback, and I'm cool. I'm so thankful for all of it. It's been an amazing process so far, and luckily, I'm thankful for it. But there has been a little bit of a pushback. Somebody has mentioned, we talked a little bit about accountability,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody has mentioned, well, what about you? And past circumstances have been brought up, and it's an eye opener. It's a little unfortunate that it was past relations, but I'm thankful. I'm thankful to know, these painful experiences that stick out. I'm glad to know that they still come up because I want them to be able to address them now, even through this. And I wanted to acknowledge that circumstance because I think it's important.
Do you want to go into a little bit of detail about that, or
No?
Okay.
I'm going to leave it at the surface right there.
Okay.
I just wanted to acknowledge that it is okay for negative things to come up and to be addressed.
Well, I think that's a big part of this.
Yes, it is. I only say that because I think that it is important that if negative things do surface, even if it's the smallest speed bump in your past, bring it up.
Address it.
And maybe now you have a better relationship with a friend than you've ever had in your life. And that was my point, was just
those little speed bumps, those little molehills.
Yeah.
Over time tend to build.
They do build, and that's why I'm thankful that this example came out, and I wanted to make sure that everybody knows that that's okay.
Well, and that's I think that goes right in line with the friends being able to relationships being able to sit down and challenge somebody,
call it out,
and go, hey, you fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that you did, whether it was yesterday or 6 years ago.
Doesn't matter. If it's a real circumstance and a real relationship, then guess what? It's going to get fixed.
Absolutely.
And that is huge.
Absolutely.
That speaks worlds.
And you also find out very, very quickly how much that other person values your friendship.
Exactly.
Values you in your life. If you bring any sort of value to that person, guess what they're going to do? They're going to fix it.
And by the way, to second with that, anybody who holds onto a problem for that long and brings it to you that many years, if years, time, then that goes to show you there is meaning there. Everybody takes it immediately as a fight from the distance, just because. No,
absolutely not.
No. Look at the other side of that coin. There was a relationship there to be built. Just fix it.
It's literally it.
Let that challenge be a lesson. I'm sorry.
No, you're exactly right. But people look at things so much as, they did this one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck them.
Yeah, it's over.
It's over. And that tells me, having been on both sides of that coin, where it's like, hey, I clearly either I didn't mean that much to that person, or that person didn't mean that much to me.
Right. Unfortunately.
And it's a shitty way to look at it. Unfortunately, from on that other side, that person didn't mean that much to me.
Ooh.
If that little speed bump is able to cause that big of a rift between you two,
mm-hmm.
then there was no value there to begin with.
And it's heartbreaking.
It is. Especially because you don't know what value you brought that other person, right? You don't necessarily know until that issue comes up. So let me put it this way: if I bring in an issue to you, and say, "Hey, man, I don't appreciate how you did this,"
mm-hmm.
Or I don't appreciate that you said this, or that you whatever the circumstance was,
mm-hmm.
and you go, that sucks. I'm sorry. Move on.
That's
that tells me everything I need to know right there.
right.
And if you come back to me and go, you know what, man, I didn't realize that that it affected you like that, and tell me, and it could be as simple as, tell me, is there an apology that's needed? Is there a way that I can make this right?
Right.
Having somebody sit you down and being able to be like, hey, okay, you're right, I fucked up, I made the mistake, I did that, and talked about last week, holding themselves accountable for their mistake, whether it was an intentional mistake, whether they knew it was something that was going to upset you, or whether it was something that you had zero idea about, and then being able to say, okay, you're right, how do I fix this?
Right.
Where do we go? What do I need to do?
If it's something that's valued, then I think a team effort is definitely worth it.
I absolutely agree, man.
The unfortunate part is that anger and ego speak louder,
Oh my God, they do.
and that's the hardest part about trying to keep things afloat. It doesn't matter what kind of relationship it is. We can talk about boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance,
Husband, wife.
husband, wife, especially man to man, you and me. Doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. If somebody's important to you, then the thought process is important.
Absolutely, and I think touching on the husband and wife side of things, it doesn't necessarily. Well, let me backtrack. We're not touching on the husband and wife side of things. Any relationship in general, doesn't matter the gender, doesn't matter, the necessary status of that relationship. If it's important to you, and if that person is truly important to you and has had an impact on your life,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't sit down with that person and talk to them about what's bothering you,
Then there's a whole nother chapter to look at.
yep, you need to really be able to look at and reevaluate that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I'll speak from personal experience. No, I don't want to completely call her out, but you know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We had issues that I did not know were issues until it was too late. And no matter what I did, no matter what I said, no matter how many things had changed, no matter how much time has passed, there was no fixing those things. Mountains into molehills into mountains. You know what I mean? And it was a bunch of little things that, if had been addressed in a timely manner, or addressed at all, I should say, would have been fixed. Would have been, I would have been like, you know what? You're right. And I might not have necessarily, I don't think I was in the headspace at that point in time. You know what time I'm talking about. To necessarily be able to look at those things honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely would have changed the course of my relationship with that person. I don't think it would have necessarily saved the relationship. We're talking about a romantic relationship at this point. I don't think it would have saved the relationship necessarily, but it definitely would have put us in a much better position to move forward.
I think that's almost just as equally as important, if I may. Being able to maintain a cordial, at the very least, a cordial relationship with somebody that you've experienced heartbreak and turmoil with, I think that's a win.
In most circumstances, yes.
In most circumstances, I would say, again, at the very least, if that's what you come out of it with a connection of another human being that you had intimate circumstances with, and you guys can still act cordially towards one another, then I would consider that,
Yeah, absolutely.
a win.
Because you see so many relationships now that end, and you guys never talk to each other again.
And doesn't that
It breaks my heart.
I've spoken on this before, not on here, but I've spoken on that before. I think it's pretty ridiculous and pretty heartbreaking that two people can share their lives intimately, connectively, personally, physically, in every aspect of your life. You share, what you're doing here with another person, and then because of a couple of issues, you just
A couple of stupid issues.
fucking throw it away.
Yep.
You know?
And I think that
and I would, if I just want to follow up with, that doesn't. I'm not perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
I am just as guilty in my age as anybody else that has gone through this. That doesn't mean that I've circled back on everything that I've done wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm only speaking from what experiences I have had and what wishes I do have. So that connection is worth something. Any connection is worth something. And I think the people that ignore it are ignorant.
I have to kind of disagree on a piece of that.
Go ahead.
I don't think that every connection is important.
Okay.
Because if that connection doesn't bring any value to your life, to their other person's life as well, then I don't feel necessarily that connection is worth fighting for.
Mm-hmm.
If that's because that just ends up being a waste of time, a waste of effort, and you end up losing sight of the people who are truly important, who truly bring value to your life. If you're trying to fight for somebody who doesn't.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense, and I have a rebuttal for you.
Okay.
Whenever you're through with that point.
That was it, man. I mean, that's
so to second that, I say whether or not the long-term circumstances are worth it, the way you describe, I would say that they are. I would say that they're worth it only because now you have the knowledge of what not to look for. Now you have the discipline to know what not to shoot for and what not to quote unquote waste your time with. Is that fair?
yeah, that is fair.
And it's a difficult situation and it's a difficult circumstance, and I agree with you on that. But I think that the time spent gaining knowledge is worth just about anything. Unfortunately, it's not always positive, but the knowledge moving forward now is.
So let me ask you this, and let me, for lack of a better term at the moment, let me challenge that a little bit.
Yeah.
So say that you're hanging out with this person, and you think all of a sudden that you guys are boys, you guys are bros, you guys are hanging out, you're doing things, you're whatever, and they start pulling you in a different direction that you're willing to go. Is that connection there? That's going to drag you down a negative path. That is going to drag you down a negative path.
Mm-hmm.
Is that worth fighting to keep? Because that person's not going to change, right? You've challenged them, you've established that, you've gone through all the steps that we just kind of talked about, and you've done the things, and now all of a sudden it's like, hey, well, I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing. You can either come with me or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
That connection had a purpose. It had its what's the word I'm looking for here? I'll use purpose. It ran its course, right? You've learned what you needed to learn from that person. I'm not saying throw people away either, but then what? That's run its course. It's no longer a positive thing. It's no longer it's no longer bringing any value to.
I think what you're saying kind of reiterates what I just said, and maybe it was misconstrued. But when I was talking about taking the knowledge from a certain situation and moving forward, that
doesn't necessarily mean you have to bring that person with you.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. No. What I meant was, if you have to move forward without them, then do so. But just know that you have the knowledge, and you have now the idea of what to look for when you know that you're getting misconstrued.
Gotcha. Now we're on the same page.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Absolutely.
So,
and I 1,000% agree with you.
Yeah, we're still on the same page for sure. It's a shitty reality.
It is.
I'm not disagreeing with you, because if I had my way, then I would have every fucking connection in my life, present.
Yeah, we'd have a million people that we had this great connection with.
Right. Right. But not everybody's willing to think with the most open of minds and hearts.
Right.
So.
And I think a lot of that has to do with timing.
Oh boy, that's a tough one. I think that might be a conversation for another episode.
But I think you understand what I'm saying there.
I do.
It took me a long time to be open to these conversations and to be open to be challenged like that.
Oh boy,
You know what I mean?
definitely. Oh god.
It took me a long time because and I was a young arrogant kid who just was like, fuck the world, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want, I'm gonna handle things my way because my way's the right way for me and I don't give a shit about anybody else. Right? It took a couple good slaps in the face to realize, oh shit,
Yeah, I'm not as cool as I thought I was.
I'm not as bulletproof.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a better word for it, for sure.
I'm not as bulletproof.
Yeah.
When people take that I'm Superman aspect of it, and they're like, I can do whatever I want because I'm Superman. I can handle anything. Cool, that's great. You can handle anything. Handle this. Boom.
Yeah.
Life's
luck.
gonna come at you. Life's gonna come at you really good. And it's gonna set you on your heels or on your ass like it did to me. And it will absolutely rock every inch of foundation that you thought you had. It'll rock it all.
That's for goddamn sure. There's no question about that, man. Every time I think any reasonable human being that's trying to make it through their adult life, regardless of what age, we're not going to even talk about age brackets.
Doesn't matter.
It really doesn't matter. As long as you're setting your bar higher,
as long as you're growing,
set your bar to the next level, whether it's emotionally, physically, financially. I don't give a shit what it is. Set your bar higher every time, and I bet I would put money on the fact that you're going to find opposition, and that's completely normal. But all you have to do is get the fuck back up.
If you're not finding opposition in your everyday life, your bars aren't set high enough.
Then are you really trying?
You're not.
Yeah.
Your bars aren't set high enough.
Right.
I'll tell you right now. I've got a great job. I'm happy where I'm at. Dealing with some struggles because of the accident and dealing with the ramifications of that. As far as timing and whatnot, with my job has kind of it forced me to set my bar higher for myself because I realized that no matter necessarily, and this is just me, so don't take this as to the listeners out there that this is for everybody, but this is just the way I'm looking at it because I have to. This is the way that I'm setting my bar higher for myself. I'm happy where I'm at, but I think with happiness comes complacency sometimes. And you get stuck in that groove. You get stuck in that, I'm good where I'm at. I'm okay. I'm surviving. I'm paying my bills. I've got what I need for the moment. And you're only focused on maybe the next 2 weeks, the next paycheck, the next month. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? If you're sitting there and you're knowing that you can do more, knowing that you can do better, knowing that, man, I want this more. I want more for myself.
Right.
And you're not doing anything about it. You're not getting any sort of opposition in your life. Then you really need to reevaluate kind of where you're at. And I'm doing it right now. I'm going through, I test on Friday, on the 10th. I'm going into a whole new career.
Oh yeah. I'm excited for that.
I'm
probably nervous.
I'm gonna be honest, folks. I'm terrified.
Yeah. That's a good thing.
I have been in a.
If you ain't scared, man, you ain't challenging yourself.
Exactly.
You know?
That's exactly my point. That's exactly where I was going with that. If all you feel is happiness, if all you feel is that I'm good, I got it.
Yeah, fuck this, I got it.
Right. Then now you're complacent.
I don't think you know what, man. I'm sorry to interrupt you, and I didn't mean to. I just have the perfect fucking analogy. Somebody a long time ago told me when I first started riding. They told me the day that you feel comfortable enough to hang up your helmet and say I don't need this anymore is the day you should sell your bike.
Oh my god!
And this is not fucking about motorcycles. Let me tell you that right the fuck right now.
It is not about motorcycles at all.
Yeah.
At all. Oh my god, that is perfect.
That's fucking right?
Bro.
Yeah.
I wish we had a camera in here so people can see the goosebumps that I've got going right now, man. It is that is the most perfect analogy that I can think of right now. Is if you're looking at your life and you're like, man, I don't need all the safety equipment anymore.
No more nets for me.
No, I'm good. I've got it. I'm bulletproof. I don't need to do any of that shit anymore.
Wrong again.
Yep. You need to set your bar higher.
But that's what you're doing.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
That's what you're fucking doing. You challenge yourself and you said, I'm going to fucking...
This is something that I've never done before.
You've literally never done this.
Ever.
And I do know that.
Yeah. I've been in a blue collar industries I've been in the towing industry since I was 18 years old.
This is a whole new adventure, dude.
You know, and I'm going into a kind of a very white collar field, and I'm not going to drop any sort of names or companies or anything like that, but those of you who are listening who know me know kind of where I'm going.
Yep.
And that doesn't take anything away from the experiences and the growth that I've had inside of the fields that I'm in now, because it's been a wild ride,
to say the least.
To say the least. But I'll tell you, man, it was time. 28, 29. I'll be 29 in April. Yeah, shit.
Yeah.
I'm old.
Boom.
It's time for me to grow up and set that bar up and really, really be able to say, I need to take the next step.
Mm-hmm.
I need to secure some things for not only me, but for my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I've got goals and aspirations and dreams that we've talked about that you've kind of jumped on board with, which I love.
Yeah, dude. We got some shit to talk about.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, boy.
But that's, everything's kind of changing for me right now, and it's terrifying. And you kind of touched on it a minute ago. If you're not, if you don't have a twinge of fear to reach that bar,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have a twinge of doubt, no, doubt's not the right word, because you need to be 100% confident
Mm-hmm.
in pretty much everything that you do. I feel.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've got a twinge of fear, you're doing it right. And I'll use bikes as an analogy right here. If you're hanging into that corner and you're like, ugh.
Well, that's gonna be the downfall right there.
The second
you just said, that's a perfect analogy as well.
Yep.
Because if you have that hesitation,
You're done.
the same way as in life, if you have that hesitation, you're gonna eat it.
Every time.
You're gonna fucking eat it.
Every time. Man, that was
It's a good one.
good.
Yeah.
I didn't. Oh. Yeah, man. But no. If you're hanging up, and and I want to say this too. There's nothing wrong with change and hanging that helmet up. You know what I'm saying? And let me finish what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you're hanging the helmet up to pick up another set of equipment, using that analogy,
That's different.
it's different.
That's definitely different.
If you're hanging that helmet up to pull on a race suit,
Mm-hmm.
That's
It's a different ball game, bro.
that's that bar that we were just talking about.
You're stepping it up.
Yeah, if you're going from just a helmet and a vest to, well, shit, now we need a race suit.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That is the perfect way to go about it.
You've stepped foot into a new realm.
Yep. And that is growth. That is the ultimate feeling uncomfortable, because I know you and I have both literally put those race suits on.
Yeah.
And have gone out and have done that.
Mm-hmm.
And in the literal sense of putting the race suit on and taking that risk.
I would like to kind of elaborate a little bit on what you're saying, because I 120% agree with you, but just to put it into words to make sure that nothing is misconstrued, but these steps and these progress steps that he's referring to, they may not always be big things.
Oh, no.
These steps at the most minute situations are the biggest strides, and that's what you have to understand about.
Everything starts with a baby step.
Your situation is your situation. I don't care what it is. If you are allowed to take on one more bill to make your household that much more comfortable, then that's what you force yourself to do. And guess what? Now you're in that bracket. Now you're that much more comfortable. It doesn't matter what it is. I took on that piece of shit that's in my driveway That's another bill for me.
Which one?
But guess what? Yeah, after tonight, which one? But guess what? Now I have that much more security.
Yeah.
I have that much more reliability.
Yep.
I'm forcing myself to deal with that. Nobody has any clue what I'm talking about. I got another truck. Anyway.
He did a thing.
I did a thing. I got another truck. It's my sense of security. Whatever that means to you in your life, a stride is a stride. Don't let anybody demean that, ever.
Ever.
It
Ever.
doesn't matter how big the step is. A step forward is a step forward.
You could be crawling on your knees.
100%.
As long as you're continuing to move.
Forward.
Doesn't
matter.
I think that's a huge thing.
That's all I wanted to say.
Oh, I think that's a huge thing, and I think that's that's another topic that we're going to have to dive into in another episode, because we need about an hour and a half to talk about all of that.
Fuck.
To actually get into detail with that, and I think we might do that next couple of episodes. We'll definitely dive into that.
100%.
Write that on the whiteboard.
Mark that down.
But if you're not moving forward, you're not setting your bar high enough. If you're stagnant, if you're getting complacent, then you need to start looking at taking the next step, and that goes with anything. And that just kind of brought it all full circle. But
it really sucks for me to think about the full spectrum of that statement, because the reality of it is that I don't know half of it.
Dive into that a little bit. I want to know where your head's at.
I'm trying to keep an open mind when I say that I don't know the half of what most of the people are going through to be able to say the smallest strides mean the biggest difference.
Okay, I understand where you're at. And
there are so many full-time families that are going through so many worse times. And having said that, it's hard. I don't know. I have a really fucked up view, I think. Because I've worked for everything that I have.
Absolutely.
Since I was 16, I was forced to grow up early.
Absolutely.
So I don't necessarily have the viewpoint or the perspective, and I apologize for that. But I understand that there is harder times out there. I am doing well, considering half of the population is not. But again, like he said, the smallest stride is the smallest stride. It doesn't matter what it is. Whatever that means to you is the biggest stride.
And I think I can kind of dive into that a little bit deeper and just make it maybe a little bit easier to understand for the listeners at home. I want to start off by saying that the two of us individually are doing pretty well for ourselves.
Yeah. But it's
the point is, no matter how well you're doing or how well you're not doing,
right,
don't sit and think that that's all you'll ever be.
Oh, I think that is key.
I think that's what you were trying to say.
That is key. Yes. Yes, I'm glad you can clarify.
Just because you're making $1,000 a month or $30,000 a month,
Mm-hmm.
that does not mean that you can sit and judge the person next to you for not doing as well as you.
110%.
Because I know a lot of people. I know a lot of really, really, really good people, really, really genuine good people, who just had a shitty hand dealt to them, and they just unfortunately are dealing with those circumstances. But I can also tell you right now that none of them have stopped moving forward. Every single one of them has gone, you know what? I want more for myself. I want more for my life. I want more for my kids. And they're doing everything that they have to do to separate themselves from where they're at right now.
It's so crazy to think how different circumstances affect every single different life.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
You can... No two circumstances, no two lives are the same.
100%.
Right? It doesn't matter how many similar situations you've gone through, how many jobs that you've worked together. I mean, Jesus Christ, we've worked at, 4 companies together?
Yeah.
We've done the same job at the same time with the same money. Our circumstances have changed from those times were so drastically different. And we were going through them at the exact same time. Nobody really knows exactly what you're going through But I'll tell you this: as long as you are taking a step, whether you're crawling, whether you're just barely moving forward, continue, push, keep going. Because I saw something on Instagram the other day while I was scrolling. It was a little cartoon picture of a guy with a pickaxe in a tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he had been digging through. You see this massive tunnel that he had dug, right?
Right.
And he'd turn around. He's got the pickaxe over his shoulder, and he's walking back down the tunnel. If he had hit that wall one more time, there was a bunch of diamonds on the other side.
Mm.
You never know how close you are to making it.
Right. I think that's important.
That one more step, that one swing, that one hit, you know, whatever the analogy you want to use.
Mm-hmm.
Take one more. Don't quit.
Just go to work the next day. Go to work the next day.
Yep.
Just keep showing up. Just keep showing up.
I had a guy who helped train me. No, it's not a guy. It's Austin. Austin said this to me. I sat with him when I started at one of the towing companies that we worked with.
Yeah.
The three of us worked at this company together.
Okay.
And I called him one day, man, and I was down. I was down bad. And I was like, dude, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not, it wasn't that I wasn't happy. I loved what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But it just wasn't giving me what I thought it should have.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I wasn't getting I wasn't getting what I wanted out of it.
Sure.
And we're not talking about money here. And he looked at me and he said to me, he goes, do me a favor. I was like, what's up? Because I told him flat out, I was like, I'm not coming into work tomorrow. I'm going to quit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to call it, and I'm going to drop my uniforms off this weekend, and I'm done. And he goes, come to work tomorrow. He goes, just finish the week. He goes, at the end of the week, if you still feel like you want to turn your unis in, bring them on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever day your Friday is. Turn your unis in then, but finish your week out. Don't quit. I did that, and 2 days later, it was my Friday. I had my unis in the truck. I got a phone call from the GM. Asked me to meet him at Peter Piper Pizza. I think you know this story.
No. Keep going.
And they offered me the wrecker position.
Continue. That's a pretty big feat, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty big feat.
I was 23 years old.
Yeah. You went from a service driver.
Yep.
Which is fuel and...
tire changes and batteries.
Yeah. Jump starts and fuel runs.
Yep.
So straight to a wrecker, which is 2 steps farther.
No. Not quite that. This was not that company. This was the second one.
Oh, okay.
I was running a flatbed.
Well, that's still... Oh, okay.
I was running a flatbed.
My fault. Wrong company.
Wrong company. It's okay. I was running a flatbed at the time, but I wasn't feeling like I was getting out of it that I needed to. I wasn't progressing where I wanted to. And I'm not saying that he knew more than I did at that point. I'm not saying that it was a topic of conversation anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I genuinely 100% believe that if I hadn't have shown up to work for the rest of that week, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I hadn't have continued to take those steps forward.
One more fucking day.
One more day.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it took.
Mm-hmm.
And I got everything I wanted out of it. Now, that situation didn't end the way I wanted it to. There were some circumstances that came up, but...
Sure.
But it opened the door for me to... I then ran... I was helping run a septic company for a while after that,
mm-hmm.
using that CDL and using that experience that I gained from that company.
Yep.
And then was able to go back into another towing company and move right into a wrecker.
Good came from it.
A lot of good came from it. It
mm-hmm.
and it shaped who I am right now. Because if I had quit, if I had said, fuck this, I'm not coming in this week. I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to do that. I have no idea what my life would look like. Zero clue. It wouldn't be good, I can tell you that much. I can tell you that much right now.
Damn.
And I kind of want to make another point off of that too. Once you start giving up on yourself, because that's what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You're giving up on yourself. You're not giving up on the career. You're not giving up on the job. You're giving up on yourself, right?
I would say.
Once you start doing that, it never stops.
Unless you catch it.
How often do people catch it though?
I'm not speaking statistically,
Okay.
but unless you catch it.
And I think
But-
it's a super slippery slope.
But you're right. Yeah, unfortunately, you're right.
And that goes back to last week.
Mm-hmm.
Accountability. Kind of you got to be accountable for that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
You do, unfortunately, because nobody else is going to catch you.
Nobody else cares.
No.
I shouldn't say nobody else. A majority of people around you don't care.
But you're the only one that's going to be able to really pick yourself back up.
Right.
And just, like you said, show up one more day.
One more day. It's all it takes.
It's amazing. Well, one more day can do. One more
12-hour shift.
one more push-up.
One more bench.
Mm-hmm.
One more squat.
Yep.
One more throw.
One more every fucking day.
Yep.
That's all it is. I bet you don't build yourself some kind of wealth. Doesn't matter what that is.
And we're not talking about money when we talk about wealth either, folks.
Nope.
I mean,
Nope.
wealth to me, and I know wealth to you, is a way deeper topic than financial gains.
Mm-hmm.
You can have the most money on the block, but if you're just a poor human being, a poor person,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how much money you have. You
Doesn't
don't bring
matter.
any value to me.
Nope.
Cool. You can write a check and pay for whatever I want. Awesome. That's all you are to me at that point.
But you're still an asshole.
You're still a piece of shit.
Yeah. Doesn't mean shit.
Nope. Oh man.
Well, we can end on that solid note.
Yeah. I mean, that was a bit of a shorter episode than we're used to, but
That's all right. It was a good one.
it was a lot of good topics. By the way, I don't think you even introduced me on this one.
I might have for a second. Might have been in the bloopers that was on TikTok and Instagram. Yep. It's Zach, as always. He'll be back.
Next Sunday.
He'll be back next Sunday.
Oh, recording day is next Sunday.
Yeah.
What day do I drop?
Oh, that's a good one. Probably, if I had to guess, next Monday.
Okay.
If not, next Friday.
Okay.
A week out. Any plugs?
Oh man.
Honorable mentions? Whatever you got.
Whew. Honorable mentions. Am I allowed to name drop on this one?
Go for it, man.
Honorable mentions. My GM at Arrowhead Harley Davidson,
Okay.
Nick Muffelman.
Nick Muffelman.
He has.
I think I met the dude. He's a good son of a bitch.
You have.
He's a good son of a bitch.
He really has allowed me to not only grow within the company,
Mm-hmm.
but he kind of took me under his wing a bit, and I've had a lot of conversations with him, and he knows about the changes that are coming,
Mm-hmm.
and in the most unselfish way possible, which you don't find a lot in a lot of companies nowadays. Looked at me and went, "I'm here for you.
Mm-hmm.
And any of the changes and any of the things that you need help with, you let me know."
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "But I'm never, ever, ever gonna stand in the way of your growth
Damn. You don't find that very much.
in anybody, let
That-
alone a GM, let alone a boss."
That's professional.
Yeah.
That's professional. Is that the same dude I got to have the unfortunate meeting with when I came in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to
yeah.
tell the story.
Go ahead, because that's a funny fucking
That was
story
the
right there.
greatest story ever, man. I walk into fucking Arrowhead Harley Davidson. You know, I had a black tumbler. Is that what they'd call it? A big black hydro flask.
Yes.
And it
It's mind you, it's 11:30 in the morning. Folks.
just so happened to be filled with Jack and Coke. We're gonna move past that swimmingly.
We're sitting down at the table, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'll make this quick. We're sitting down at the table. We're talking about numbers, and financing, and trading in some stuff for some things. And he stops mid conversation and looks at him, looks him up and down, and goes, "Dirty jeans, dirty boots, decent shirt, ball cap bag. That doesn't have an apple liquor in it, does it?"
He said, "What? Are you drinking here today, sir?"
Nope.
I'll be honest with you. I don't remember what I told him.
You owned it,
but I probably told him. I was like, "Hey, yeah,
you owned it for sure,"
and he owned it. He loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the funniest.
He's a solid dude.
It was a great interaction.
Solid dude, genuine person. Helped me more than I could talk about. He's the only reason I have that bike sitting in your driveway right now. I'll tell you that much. That thing would still be sitting in an impound yard in Prescott.
Damn.
After that accident, he paid for it to get out.
No shit.
Yep.
Damn. Well, Nick, thank you for what you've done. On his behalf, I appreciate you. Is there anybody else you'd like to plug?
Not this time.
Not this
time. I think that kind of character goes along with what we talked about a little bit today. That light inside of people.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He didn't have to do any of the things that he did. He didn't have to be cool with, sending me. Literally, I called him the day that I was able to go get the bike was 2 days after the accident, 3 days after the accident. Right? I'm fucked up still.
Right. In a sling.
In a sling, my shoulder shattered. Like, I can hardly move. He calls me and he goes, "Hey, what do you need?" Just like that. What do you need?
Damn.
And I went. I asked. I was like, "What do you mean? What do you mean? What do I need? Like, I need a shoulder, Nick. Like what?
Yeah. How do I answer this, bro?
I need to go back to work."
Right.
He goes, "Do you need groceries? Do you need me to go send one of the guys?" Literally was going to send a lot tech to the grocery store with a list.
Shit.
And pick up groceries for me.
Dude, doesn't that speak worlds?
I told him, I said, "Man, I got groceries." Mama was my old lady at the time was working full time. She stepped up big time and helped us out. But it came down to it, and I said, "Man, I'm not going to be able to afford to get this bike out. It's $86 a day gaining for it to sit in that impound yard. I got a $600 bill sitting there right now. I've got $300 to my name that I can spend to get that bike out." He goes, "What's your Zelle?" Within 10 minutes, I had that cash.
Oh, God damn.
Within another 20 minutes, he had a truck and trailer sitting outside of my apartment.
Just ready to go.
Ready to go up to Prescott to go get my bike. Dude, listen, me and Nick we've had our differences. We've had our issues, as any boss and employee will.
Sure. He's a GM. You're going to hate him.
I won't say hate.
Okay.
We've had our disagreements for sure. We've had it out for each other on the floor. You know me well enough to know that I've got a bit of an ego when it comes to my money and my professionalism and my job, and he challenged that, and it came to a screaming match for sure. But we were able to sit down and grow from that, and then literally weeks later, he's able to sit down and go, "Hey, man, what do you need?"
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Huge shout out to Nick Muffelman and his family, because without them, I wouldn't be in the position to set my bar up higher, to take the next step, to move on. It's gonna be a rough moving on from that.
Well, Nick, I know you don't know me. You don't know me from the next person that comes in to buy a bike, but keep doing what you're doing, dude. Keep being who you are. Don't think it goes unnoticed, because it fucking doesn't. You've changed one life indefinitely, so don't think you haven't done it multiple times. Whether it goes spoken or not, I'm here to tell you right now that it's changed one life in front of me, and that speaks worlds. So I appreciate you. He appreciates you. And we love you, brother. Thank you for everything that you've done for him. And, yeah. one life saved is one life saved. You know, don't ever take that for granted, ever.
I think I want to end. We're gonna end on this.
Okay.
If you can be, and this is talking to the public now, not to Nick, but if people can be more like Nick and put your differences aside for a minute,
just for a second,
and just care about the person next to you, because you don't know what that person's going through. You don't know what their and he didn't know how bad things were. He didn't know the extent of my injuries. He didn't know the extent of the damage to the bike. He didn't know the extent of and just how close me and the lady were at that time to losing all of it because of the accident. And that simple, hey, go get this. That simple stress off of my back, it made a lifetime of difference. And you know, the monetary value doesn't have anything to do. I'll never be able to pay that back. The money's nothing.
The willingness.
The money doesn't matter.
No, it does. It fucking doesn't. I definitely think that's important to end on. Is if you have the opportunity, doesn't matter if it's money, doesn't matter if it's time. If there's a valuable reason to spend it, and somebody that's worth it or in need. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said worth it because that's not your choice. That's not your choice.
No.
If you have something that somebody needs, and you can provide,
if somebody needs it more than you,
then do it.
That takes no skin off of your nose at that point.
It'll come back to you.
Karma's a wonderful beast.
It's never a fucking question, dude. It'll come back to you. 110%. And I say that with confidence, and I think he does too. That's a great last plug, and I appreciate that. Nick, you're a motherfucker.
Love you, buddy.
Love you too, buddy. I know you were talking to me. All right. Well, until the next session, you know, as always, I appreciate everybody listening in, and you can check us out on Facebook, Instagram. I'm everywhere. TikTok. Do your thing. Play boys, play girls. One more piece.
Let us know. Email in. Write us.
Yes. Please email.
I want to be able to talk about. I want to be able to start kind of as these episodes start to go. I want to be able to talk about some of our listeners' experiences too, and maybe not necessarily put our input in on it, but just because people's stories are important to share.
Absolutely, and this is the exciting part. Is now everybody's heard the beginning of your story. At this point, everybody's heard your voice.
Yep.
And this may not air yet, but when it does, they'll have known two parts of it.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
I want to hear about everybody's experiences, and I want this to be a part of everybody's lives.
Yeah.
And I want this to be able to show and to help somebody. If we can help one person from our experiences, and if we can make a difference in somebody's life, just a single one, then we did our job. We succeeded.
And I think the last episode, I think I've dabbled in it quite a bit. The ability to be anonymous is somewhat important for some people because not everybody wants to be broadcasted live and be thrown about, and that's fine. And I fully support you. But like Zach just said, if you would like to email questions, concern, comments, and if you would like to have us address something online about you anonymously,
let us know.
Fucking please. meversusmeinfo@gmail.com. We will do it, and I'm excited to have your topics, your info, your stories,
and your input.
What
we've talked about.
Your stories and your input. So please don't hesitate. I say again, it's meversusmeinfo@gmail.com, all one word. Don't forget it, and we'll see you on the next one.
Love you guys.
Love you.